My name is Livid and welcome to Legacy Gaming. One of the most important questions any player asks themselves before jumping into Star Citizen is what starter ship do you pick? It's a decision that quite literally shapes your entire starting experience, from what missions you can do to how effective you are in combat. The Avenger Titan has long dominated that list, despite being priced in a significantly higher tier. Now that all may have changed recently during the 2952 Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, where Drake Planetary decided to throw their hat into the starter ship ring, unveiling the Drake Cutter. A ship that, while many might find it ugly, it actually boasts a sizable interior space, surprisingly high level of versatility, and most importantly, good value. Now the Drake design philosophy, something you'll come to learn if you're a new player, is extremely utilitarian. It's about being efficient with what you have and being able to keep what you have repaired. It's about making sure the everyday person can fly amongst the stars just like anyone else. At all times, you have access to all of your ship's components, both inside and out, which ends up leading you to notice how Drake ships have a severe lack of hull plating, using the ship's mechanicals themselves as intricate design elements, something that will likely play a huge factor when all ships get rebalanced once the armor system comes online in the future. That's a factor that ends up giving all Drake ships a bit of character, one that I certainly have grown to love. Right off the bat with the Cutter, you'll notice two notable external features, typical of pretty much all Drake ships. They've slapped two large VTOL engines right on the sides of the chassis. Now this is something that all other starter ships in the game lack, and once the atmospheric flight model and cargo mass drastically changes in an upcoming update, these thrusters will provide unparalleled maneuverability in atmosphere, not in regards to just flight, but with takeoff and landing as well. Additionally, the Cutter clocks in as one of the fastest accelerating ships out there, allowing it to break through even the thickest of atmospheres with relative ease. Now we also have two neat little external features that we haven't seen on any other ship to date. The first, blast shields, that can be deployed on the side windows, potentially a nod to the future hull armor system. But let's be honest, this is not saving a Drake ship. The second is a feature that I never knew I really needed until now. It's small porthole windows on either side of the loading ramp, and it allows players to gain insight into their surroundings before opening the door to a likely dangerous situation. Additionally, we should check out the Cutter's loadout. Unlike most other starters, the Cutter only sports a single component of each type, meaning you'll only have one small shield generator, one small cooler, and one small power plant. This unfortunately makes it kind of on par with the Anvil Pisces in the survivability department, and that ship rarely sees combat because of that. Now you do have two size 2 weapon hardpoints that come stock with two size 1 gimbaled weapons, and two size 2 missile racks that puts your missile total up to 4, putting your firepower kind of on par with the base level Aurora MR. Now, if you're looking to make the Cutter just a little more survivable, I'd recommend upgrading all the components to Class A, which would certainly make you a bit more survivable, but as it stands right now, combat is certainly not the ship's forte. Now, where the Cutter does begin to stand out from all other starters component-wise is its quantum fuel tank, boasting an insane 6,000 liters, compared to the typical 583 liters that most starter ships have. This allows you to equip even the most fuel-hungry quantum drives and still be able to make multiple trips throughout the solar system before needing to refuel, a factor that will make the ship actually viable in the upcoming, much larger Pyro system. Having covered the ship's exterior and loadout, I think it's time that we move on to the ship's interior, starting at the cargo bay, one of the defining spaces within the Drake Cutter. On paper, the Cutter holds 4 SCUs of cargo, but the space is actually more than double that amount. This is because, unlike something like the Avenger Titan, the Cutter only has one point of entry or exit, the cargo hold itself. As a result, what would normally fit up to 8 SCUs of cargo needs to be cut in half to allow players to move in and out freely. In reality, you could cram this thing as full as you'd like and stumble over your loot to get in and out, but something like that is entirely up to you. While this might seem like a downside, there is actually an upside to this. Because of the larger cargo bay, you can actually fit something as large as a Grey Cat STV, backing it in of course, and still allow for enough floor space to move in and out. Surprisingly, even a mule fits in here, but things like a dragonfly or a rock still won't fit, even with the ample height the Drake Cutter provides. The cargo bay is also where you'll find a majority of the ship's critical components, snugly secured behind yellow, foldable supports, giving the player incredibly easy access to both repair and replace them when that feature also comes online. This is also where you can see the 2 rear portholes that I mentioned earlier. Now if we move forward to the ship's midsection, it actually opens up into quite the sizable living space, nearly on par with that of the Consolidated Outland's Nomad. It's large enough that you could honestly pile up even more boxes in here, should you absolutely need to. In terms of amenities within the living space, it features a standard bed, ample floor space, and even a full bathroom, complete with toilet and shower, even if super bare bones like all things Drake. Toward the front half, you'll find a pantry and a position for a fire extinguisher once the fire and fire suppression systems come online in a future update. There's even a gear storage locker near the bed for ample storage space of both loot and gear. Finally, we step through the door to the cutter's flight deck, and just like every other space in the ship, it features not only an adequate amount of space, but it also features a gun rack, complete with slots for a primary weapon, sidearm, utility item, and even a larger rack for something like a railgun or animus launcher. Now, I'm not saying you're using this thing for piracy, but you know. At the center of the room is the flight seat, which is on a set of rails that rotates and lifts the player up to a fantastic vantage point, complete with Drake's signature analog flight controls and MFDs. Like I said before, efficient and repairable. It's one of the most detailed set of flight panels to date, and certainly helps to immerse the player even more. The overall cockpit visibility, with the blast shields down of course, isn't terrible honestly. It's no Mustang, but it's completely manageable in my honest opinion, and shouldn't make you feel too claustrophobic when navigating tighter environments or even hangars. But finally, let's talk about price. If you're watching this at the tail end of IAE 2952, you can actually still pick this package up for $45, making it the no-brainer choice for anyone hopping into the game for the first time, being the absolute best bang for your buck. Now, if you're watching this after November 30th, 2022, the price will be going back to its default $60 entry cost, which is still, in my opinion, better than nearly all the starter options out there for its cost. The cutter is probably the perfect companion for any player who wants to explore everything the verse has to offer, from cargo to wreck diving. If ship-to-ship combat is more your cup of tea, however, the Avenger Titan is likely still your go-to starter, due to its way above average weapon capabilities. I honestly don't think that ship will ever truly be dethroned. Anyway, I want to thank you all for dropping by and giving this video a watch. If you found the content interesting or entertaining, I'd greatly appreciate you showing your support through a like, comment, or even subscribing to the channel. Now, if you're still new to Star Citizen, or even this is your first video on the topic, consider checking out our comprehensive overview on the game. It'll truly show you what this project is actively building toward. Plus, I spent a lot of time making it. Anyways, my name is Livid, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the verse.